Page 55, Minuet in G. At the top of the page, they talk a little bit about J.S. Bach. He's a very famous and influential composer back in the 1700s because as music has evolved, he did a lot, and he wrote a lot of stuff. Now, a minuet is a type of music. It's like a waltz or a nocturne or a prelude. These are different types of music, different forms in music. A minuet is a form. It's similar to a waltz. They're usually in 3/4 time. And in G means in the key of G major. They haven't introduced keys yet to you, so I don't want to confuse you too much. The point is G major is similar to C major, where we've been, all 8 keys, except G major has 1 sharp, and that's an F sharp. So every time you see an F, if you're in the key of G major, you would automatically play an F sharp instead. I don't want to get into that too deeply until the book does, but you'll notice in this piece, all the Fs in it are sharp. They have a sharp sign in front of them. Now they're introducing endings here, first and second endings. I'll come back to those. Just hang on there. We'll explain endings. There's a little more to it than what they're saying. So let's look minuet over. It's 3 lines long and has a repeat sign, so it's going to be a little longer than that. Treble and bass clef, 3/4 time. It's a minuet. Of course it's a 3/4 time. We got quarter notes and eighth notes and half notes and a dotted half note, and you got F sharps everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but in places. So let's see if we can get the notes and the rhythms. And again, it's only one hand playing at a time, so I'm going to take both hands together. And your second finger in the right hand here, and the fourth finger in the left hand's here, so we're still in middle C position. And it's eighth notes, 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3. Now 1 and 2. F sharp now. It's just your same finger. Okay? So you go through and get the notes and the rhythms okay, and then we can add the articulation, the sentences, the phrases. Just a little lift out, like taking a breath between each of these slur lines. And the dynamics, MF is mezzo forte, which is sort of loud. It's on the loud side of the middle. It's not loud, but it's gentle. Okay, moderato somewhere in the middle. It's not fast or slow. It's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. Okay. Now let's talk about what I call the road map. The road map is a map as to when you go where in the music. See, so far in the music, for the most part, we start at the beginning and we just play it straight through to the end. Sometimes we would repeat it and do it again, but it's still just going straight through it. Well, I told you early on that the end of the piece symbol, the thin and thick bar line, may not always be at the end. It might be someplace else because you don't always just play them straight through to the end. And this is one example of that. Endings. The idea with an ending, and you can have more than 2, there can be any number of endings. And they can combine them. It gets better and better. Now, the idea with endings is each ending is numbered. And if it's combining endings, it'll have more than one number, but the numbers will make sense, more or less. The first time you go through, you play the first ending, or the ending marked with a 1. You play that. The second time you go through, you play the second ending. You don't do the first ending again. Once you've done it, you're done. You don't do that anymore. So then you do the second ending. And there could be a third ending and a fourth ending and who knows what. So it's just whatever. You follow the numbers. So in this piece, you're going to play the first 2 lines and the first 2 measures of the last line. Then you're going to repeat back to the beginning because there's no reverse repeat sign. And you're going to do the first 2 lines again, but you're going to skip the first ending. You've done it once, and skip over and you do the second ending instead. It gets interesting sometimes because an ending, like the first ending, has a repeat sign. Some endings don't have a repeat sign. There could be more to this after this, more to this piece later. And if that were to happen, you keep going. You'd skip the second ending because on the first time through, you don't do the second ending. you would skip it and just keep going, but there would be something later to send you back so you could do it again. Otherwise, you'd never get to the second ending. It's easier to understand it when you can see it in the music. Just keep in mind that this is the simplest form of endings you have. After this, it gets fun. Now again, remember our natural accents? We want to feel that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So feel this and you'll play it that way. Now, I don't do a lot on technique here, but I do want to mention, because it gets a little awkward there in the last line, because you're in this position and you're using the little finger for the sharp. And, you know, it's one of the weaker, awkward fingers. But remember, I use weight to push the notes down, so I'm just putting weight on that finger. And just put it on. You might have to practice that. And just transferring weight from finger to finger. If you have to, you can bring the hand in a little bit, because the finger's a short one. So you might have to bring the hand in a little bit. Just straighten the little finger out and put weight on it. Don't try and use just the finger muscle to do that. You can strain the finger and cause problems that way. Let the weight push the note down. Let's play it together slowly to double check all the notes and rhythms. And we are going to do the repeat in the first and second ending. So I'll give us 3 counts. 1 and ready and go, and 1 and 2. 2. Repeat. Second ending now.